Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Hi, hello, it is Josh Bowe from MavsMoneyball.com coming to you with another edition of Mavs Moneyball After Dark. This time a victorious edition. The Mavericks narrowly defeat the Los Angeles Clippers 103-101 Tuesday night in Dallas. As you can tell by me starting this podcast, Kirk Henderson will not be joining. He has now gone to 2 consecutive Mavericks home games, and instead of asking him to beat the traffic to get home to record and stay up late to record a podcast, I'm joined by one of our staffers, Brian Zilem. Brian, how's it going?
I'm doing okay, Josh. I'm glad we've had a chance to kind of sit and wait, and I'm glad by the hair of their goddamn chinny chin chin, the Mavericks somehow, some way, by hook or crook, by Luka magic, by Luka bullshit, they won this goddamn game. Like, insane.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. As if you watch the game, you very much well know how crazy it got in the second half. If not, Mavericks had a 25-point lead in the first half. They had a 22-point lead entering halftime, and then they just had one of the worst third quarters I've seen from this team in quite some time. Clippers outscored the Mavericks 33-15 in the third quarter, and we had a game. And the fourth quarter was actually, if you erase the fact that like the Mavericks were up big in the first half, the fourth quarter on its own was like wildly entertaining. I mean, it was back and forth. No team could really get control of the game. The Clippers retook the lead. They got out to like a 4 or 5 point lead, and then the Mavericks answered right back, and then the Clippers would answer right back, and it was crazy. It felt like a high stakes playoff game in the fourth quarter. I mean, these teams were they were trading buckets. Seemingly at will. And the Mavericks found a way to close it out. And really, the story of the game is Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith. The Mavericks are 2 rocks on the perimeter. They're 2 best 3-and-D wings. Really, they're 2 only 3-and-D wings with Josh Green coming off the bench. You know, that's about it for their wing rotation. And they've struggled this season, to put it lightly. Dorian, not as much as Reggie Bullock, but there's been a lot of consternation around Reggie Bullock. He hasn't been shooting the ball well at all, and he made 4 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, scored 13 points. Dorian Finney-Smith made a career high 7 3-pointers. He scored 21 points, and the Mavericks are I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're virtually unbeatable when Dorian scores more than 15 points. And I mean, if he gets into the 20s, I mean, it's pretty much game over. It was crazy in the fourth quarter. The Clippers basically did what every NBA team has been starting to do, which is they just did not want Luka Doncic to beat them. And as we've heard from the Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards, opposing NBA teams don't have too much respect for the Mavericks supporting cast, so they just blatantly doubled Luka the entire fourth quarter. Luka only finished the game with 3 turnovers. Looking it up right now, he only had 1 turnover in the fourth quarter, despite basically being double teamed the entire time. Dwight Powell made the right play as the release valve off the double team, and Bullock and Finney-Smith just kept draining wide open 3-pointers that the Clippers were willing to give him. And they never wavered off that strategy. I mean, Bullock made 4 in the quarter. Finney-Smith made 2 in the quarter. So they combined to make 6 in the fourth quarter, and they just kept doing it. And they were like hell or high water. They're like, we're just gonna keep daring these guys to beat them, and they did. Brian, what did you think of the crazy fourth quarter?
I mean, just the game overall, it was like the first half was just like a sludge because I think we were talking amongst each other in the Mavs Moneyball Slack, and I was like, God, this game, it sucks to watch TV. And Kirk, of course, is at the game, so I could only imagine what it was like to watch the first half, and then like the third quarter happened. It was like an out of body experience because I, of course, made the bold claim, said there's no way in hell the Dallas Mavericks will lose this game. And they tried with all their might to somehow piss us away. But like, this was the first game, Josh. I felt good about their first half effort, especially in the first quarter. I'm sure we'll dive in a little bit towards the end. But like the first quarter specifically, Luka actually had some pretty solid body language. Like the Clippers really looked uninterested in the game at all. It looked like they left all their energy in Houston, so they must be the Rockets must be energy vampires, which doesn't bode well for Dallas because of course they play the Rockets tomorrow night. But yeah, you get in the fourth quarter, it's just like, what are we doing here? And then Kid's crazy decision to start Luka in the fourth and then essentially rest him for 2 minutes, and then that was my biggest fear going into the fourth quarter. I was like, oh my God, Luka's going to have to play this entire damn game. And of course he did. He finished with 40 minutes. Dinwiddie, that's what my thought was. I was like, oh my God, save us, Spencer Dinwiddie. He ended up with 41 points. I mean, obviously he cooled off a little bit. Eventually that's going to level off. But I mean, really happy to see Dorian, go bananas. Reggie came, obviously would have liked Reggie to make both of those foul shots late. And of course, Luka somehow, some way made his, patented Luka magic, Luka bullshit shot, which was just so stupid, like absolutely just dumb. How did that go in? Because I know you sent a tweet immediately. You knew that was going in. I was like, there's no fucking way that's going in. And of course it does. And that pretty much sealed the deal. And I'm just glad that play towards the end of the fourth quarter that Covington didn't get a hold of that ball that Batum missed on that foul shot, because good Lord, because I wouldn't have wanted to entertain this game any longer than it absolutely should have. And yes, the bad news is the Mavericks did blow a 25-point lead. The good news is they did win. They are currently, believe it or not, Josh, 7-1 at home. And they are currently 1-4 on the road. And they do have a back-to-back tomorrow. But I would say the bad coming out of this game specifically, Maxey took that nasty bump in the second quarter. I was like, Jesus Christ. I don't know if he just jacked up his back, because I think they said it was a back contusion, right?
Yeah, I believe that was the official prognosis. But yeah, he did not play in the second half. Oof. He did not look good after that.
There was definitely some blood of some sort coming off his body, whether that be arm. Super surprised that wasn't even a foul when he somehow kneed Reggie Jackson in the body with his knee, and they were just like travel. I would say, just to be a little pedantic, their officiating was not good at all, but I would have said that wouldn't have been a factor. I generally try not to be very oh my God, said team lost because of the officials, but I would say this officiating crew was not good, buddy, tonight. They were kind of all over the place, and Hindsight, who would have thought that waving off that Paul George 3 at the end of the first half would have made a freaking difference? Because that goes in, Mavericks lose this game.
Yeah, it was crazy. The officiating, like neither team was happy with the officiating tonight. I think almost I was kind of watching the fourth quarter and I was like, whichever team can like ignore the officials first, I feel like is going to win this game, because it felt like after every single play on both ends of the floor, someone was yelling at a referee. And like, I get it, like it was bad, but like eventually it's just like, man, you got to get your head in the game, or you're going to let it slip away. And I was worried about that when Luka got that technical foul, but thankfully kept his composure. And again, the fourth quarter, Paul George had like both teams basically played the same defense. The Clippers doubled Luka every possession, but the Mavericks role players were able to make the plays, and Luka was able to get the ball out cleanly. The Mavericks doubled Paul George almost every possession in the fourth quarter, and Paul had 4 turnovers alone in the fourth quarter. He had 10 for the game, and I mean, they had, and then the clip leading to the Clippers having 21 turnovers total as a team.
Jeez.
And that's how, this is one of the craziest stats I've seen. The Clippers shot 61% on 2-pointers, 43% on 3-pointers, 80% at the free throw line, and they lost. And that only happens with turnovers. The Mavericks had, I think, 16 more shot attempts than the Clippers tonight, and most of them were, they made more threes than them, so the math kind of went out in their favor. But yeah, the fourth quarter was pretty crazy. Props to Dwight Powell. He had 5 assists and 1 turnover. And he really handled the pressure well, in terms of like, he had to make the right play. Like the spotlight was on him when Luka would dump the ball off to him after, they'd run a pick and roll, Clippers would double, and Powell was the one they were leaving open around the free throw line area. So good for Powell for basically making the right read almost every time. And honestly, that's why he closed the game over Christian Wood. Wood had such a good first half, and he finished the game with 24 minutes, and 15 points. He had 14 points in the first half, so he made 1 free throw in the second half, and that was it. But the reason why he didn't get more time, like, I know it's been a constant thing. Like, why isn't Christian Wood getting more time? Like, I don't think he's played 30 minutes yet in a Mavericks uniform.
That's not.
Well, in the 10 minutes Christian Wood played in the second half, he had 1 shot. He missed it. He missed 3 free throws, and he had 2 turnovers. And he was a minus 14. And I know plus minus in a single game is tough, but Wood was on the floor during that third quarter when it was really bad. And to be fair, no Maverick was really playing well in that third quarter.
No.
So it's tough to put it all on him. But specifically, like the turnovers, he had 2 turnovers where he caught the ball, off a pick and roll, off a trap, and he didn't make the right play. I think he dribbled into a turnover and then made a bad pass. And honestly, I think those 2 plays spooked Jason Kidd from trusting him down the stretch. Because, I mean, if he was doing that in the third quarter, the fourth quarter he would have had to handle the ball almost every possession down the stretch with the way they were doubling Luka. And I just don't think Kidd, after what he saw in the third quarter, trusted him. Meanwhile, Dwight Powell just seems to be as steady as a rock as far as the regular season goes. So that makes a little sense. It is a little disappointing after how he started the first half that he wasn't able to help the Mavericks kind of shut the door on the game. Like, you would think they could ride this game out. So kind of talking about that, yeah, there are some negatives to this game. The Mavericks coughed up a big lead. They had to play Dinwiddie 41 minutes, Doncic 40 minutes. Both Bullock and Finney-Smith were in the 30s. So it sounds like one of Doncic or Dinwiddie is going to get the night off tomorrow in Houston, which makes sense. But it's a shame, because if the Mavericks just kind of took care of business in the third quarter, they would be able to play Luka and Dinwiddie likely tomorrow, just to absolutely guarantee a win, even the Rockets are really bad. So yeah, the Mavericks still only have 1 double-digit win this season, and that's that Memphis game. Like, we talk about Luka and the workload and the usage. Some of that is not going to be fixable without a roster move.
Right.
But in these situations, it's like, look, he's going to have a high usage. He's going to have to initiate a lot. But in these games, when you get off to such a, like, they have to find a way to close the lead. Like, at least let his minutes, that's like the one place they can save him from wear and tear. Maybe not when he's on the floor with the usage, but like, if they could just get some double digit leads and hold on to them, they could lower his minutes just a tad, and they just haven't been able to do that except for the Memphis game. And that was probably by far the most disappointing part of the game.
Well, Josh, like the thing that's frustrating is I don't understand how they keep on doing this amazing trick where it's just like, oh, you don't think we'll be able to blow this 16-point lead in 4 minutes in the fourth quarter? We'll show you. Like, I don't get it because it's like this team is like it's they turn into a pumpkin at some point throughout the game, and it's very frustrating because this Clippers team was dead. They did not care. They weren't even like attempting to go to the basket at all in the first half. Luke Kennard, it seemed like he got hurt. He only played 3 minutes of the game, so they didn't even have one of their best like perimeter shooters out there. I mean, Jesus, like freaking Nick Batum went 7 for 7 from threes. Thank God, like he didn't get a three to end the game. Otherwise, we might have a different conversation right now. But like, my piss was boiling that the Mavericks somehow made this a clutch game again. Like, I don't understand that because, like, the third quarter was an outer body experience where I don't think they even cared. That's the thing that really drove me bonkers because this lackadaisical, whatever, it'll be fine. We'll eventually turn on the gas. But like, Jesus, dude, like, give me 25% of like an effort, and you probably could have been up double digits by the end of the third quarter. But it's like they actively tried to give that game away, and it's like they don't even have their full complement of players, and they're on a second night of a back-to-back. Josh, why does this team keep doing this to us? Like
that was bad. We haven't even talked about that. The Mavericks were on 2 nights rest, and the Clippers were on second night of a back-to-back, and third and 4 nights. And you're right. Like that first quarter, like that looked like a tired team, and that looked like versus a well-rested team. So the fact that the and if anything, that should get worse as the game continues, right?
Yes.
Like they should. So the fact that the Clippers were able to make their run in the second half in the third quarter, when really they should be their legs should be gone. That really was disappointing. And yeah, Luka scored 10. Ever scored 15 points in the third quarter. Luka scored 10. So this team, the way that they rely on Luka to do everything, it's just going to be one of those seasons until they make a roster change or until we see something change with the consistency in the shooting. But like Tim Hardaway Jr. has to be like, he is bad. He is bad. He is actively bad right now.
Are we talking to him? Okay, let's get this out of here.
I don't want to harp on it too much because he just had 2 of his best games of the season. But I mean, he's just he needs to be better. We all looked at this roster and saw that, like, yeah, this is going to be a Luka dominant roster again, and like we're going to have to worry about his usage. But one of the few like glimmers was, can Tim just give them something resembling, his first 2 full seasons in Dallas? And he's on quite the cold streak. If you think about dating back to last season before he got injured, I mean, he is just not in a good spot right now with his shot. I don't know what needs to change, but it's going to be difficult. Like if he keeps coming into games off the bench, it's going to be difficult for the Mavericks to hold on to leads if he's shooting 20-30% from the floor every time he checks into the game.
Yeah, and it's weird, Josh, because I feel like ever since Carlisle's left, he just hasn't been the same, even before the injury. Like, I could be wrong, but like even before his injury, I just felt like the numbers weren't the same. And it's like Carlisle was the Tim Hardaway whisperer, and then Kidd, I don't know if he hasn't just been that invested or they just haven't clicked, but you could tell Tim really vibed with Rick when he was still here. And the injury obviously hasn't helped like Tim's repetition yet. I mean, eventually he'll get there, but it's night and day. And then I know there's like the old, oh, well, maybe we just need to get Tim Hardaway starting. No, God, no. Then you're only leaving Dorian out there as your only functional defender. I'm good. No, like obviously you want him to find his way out of this funk, but a lot of those shots, I feel like were wide open too. That's what was like super frustrating. And then if he's not hitting those wide open threes, he's not really offering you that much on the defensive floor, end either, because he was, technically by plus minus, he was definitely the lowest on that board. He was minus 11 in 22 minutes, 0 for 7 from the field with 0 points. Like, ugh.
Yeah, not ideal. He's not really he has some good moments individually on defense and some one-on-one matchups, but he's just off the ball. He's not great. And yeah, for the most part, he's taking some decent shots. I thought he had a quick trigger on a couple of threes that were kind of like, I kind of questioned a little bit, like some really early in the shot clock kind of stuff that I wasn't a big fan of, but they have to get him going. I mean, the Mavericks are 8-5, and there's so many people on the between Bullock and Tim and even Dorian before tonight. They're not getting the most out of Christian Wood. Quietly, Maxi Kleba has stopped making all shots as well. He's been really inconsistent with the shot. I mean, it really is. It's really been Luka and Dinwiddie as the only two stable offensive players on the roster. So it is pretty remarkable that they're able to get to 8-5, and that's a testament to Luka. So yeah, kind of felt like you had the best version of the Mavericks and the worst version of the Mavericks in the same game, and thankfully the worst version didn't stick around long enough for them to cough it up in the second half. But yeah, they got Houston tomorrow night, Wednesday night in Houston. Houston has 2 wins. They're bad, but Washington was bad.
That's the kryptonite, Josh.
Thunder are bad. Yeah, I mean, if Luka, honestly, I would love for them to sit Luka, because I think everyone and their dog can guess how Luka is going to look to start the first quarter tomorrow if Luka does play. So like, instead of us having to watch him kind of be disinterested and slog through a game against an opponent he doesn't care about, let's just not play him and save his legs. Like, that would be my recommendation, and just see what happens. But after that, they play Denver in a home and home, I think, series.
Yes.
But
Joker might be out for COVID potentially.
Yeah, the Mavericks schedule, man, just unbelievable. The breaks they're getting on the schedule. Like, Jokic entered health and safety protocols today, so I think the rules are. I'm pretty sure he's vaccinated. So I think all he has to do to get back on the floor is just have a negative test in the next 24 hour, within a 24-hour period. So he could get back on the floor, maybe by the time, by Friday, which is the first game. But if he misses both of those games, man, I'm gonna have to talk to someone on the Mavericks and ask them how many chickens they sacrifice this season. The schedule has been. They have missed Zion and Brandon Ingram. They missed Kawhi tonight. They missed Banchero against Orlando. They missed Josh Giddey against the Thunder. Even the Memphis game, no Jaren Jackson, no Dylan Brooks, no Zaire Williams. It's been pretty crazy. Some of the injury luck they've gotten. This year.
Yeah, Josh, and that's the thing that's really just in my craw about this team, because I think you've pointed out how I don't know how the schedule has worked out with Dallas, where it feels like they've played every home game, and any casual road game that they have, they're back, it seems like, the next day. So they're not going on these 10-day benders where they're on the road. They're on home turf pretty consistently. And the thing that I'm not a fan of, if Luka is potentially going to sit tomorrow, I know you and Kirk had a conversation about Luka potentially being tired, quote unquote, which I'm just why are we already having this conversation? It's not even February or March yet, but kid proclaimed that he was worried that Luka was not going to make it till Christmas, which no shit at this point. If you have to play him 41 minutes every game, that's not going to help the situation. But I just hate the idea of potentially conceiving a loss to Houston tomorrow, because I don't really have confidence that they can, unless they are serious for a full 3 quarters. Show me you're serious for 3 quarters. If they're serious for 3 quarters, they should win by double digits at minimum. But they're on the second night of a back-to-back, and this team has not been serious against these middling teams, and this has been their kryptonite. kryptonite since like Luka's been in a Maverick uniform. And I think right now, if you look at their schedule, they're 18. They're only 18th as far as strength of schedule, like without the NBA, throughout the NBA. And now December is going to be a little rough because, you definitely have a little bit more Boston's, Toronto's coming up. So they're not going to get these slugs, but you would like for them to like rise up against these teams in the muck. So that way, if you have a bad game against Boston, you can understand that Boston's one of the best teams in the NBA. But then when you're over here fiddle and farting around with, lowly, Kyle Kuzma lighting you up. And then tomorrow you've got, Green, who's been playing good. Smith, their rookie that they drafted, he's been kind of not good in the last couple weeks. But they're athletic, and traditionally this Maverick team has struggled with athletic, counterparts. And how interested are they going to be in the game tomorrow? Because they had to spend so much energy. Like, could you imagine if they would have lost a game tonight and then kids like, well, we're going to rest Luka tomorrow? You're already setting this up for fail. So I would presume Luka is resting tomorrow, and we are probably getting some Tim Hardaway handling the ball and probably some Campazzo minutes, if I would have to imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Well, tomorrow, if Luka sits, at least that kind of takes some of the weight off that game tomorrow, like some of the stress, because if they lose a game without Luka, it's like, all right, well, whatever. Like the whole team is Luka, so it wouldn't be like shocking, It's those, it's like that it's like the Washington game on the second night of a back-to-back where it was like Luka looks awful. Like, the worst thing is losing to a bad team when Luka's playing and looking tired and beat up. And it's like, well, if they were going to lose, just have him sit anyway. Like, who cares? Like, right? Like, all that matters right now is keeping Luka upright and as fresh as possible for the most part. So we'll see. As far as this game tonight, I don't think I have anything else to say. I think we covered everything I wanted to hit. Before we jump out of here, Brian, anything you wanted to hit on the game tonight?
No, I mean, I think it's like amazing. I'm trying to look at the box score right now. Did the Clippers somehow make it the entire game without second chance points? I was looking at something super crazy.
Well, they only had 3 offensive rebounds, so that's probably right.
That's just, I don't even know how that happens. This game absolutely does not make sense. If you've not seen the game, I'm sure the Luka shot will be viral if it's not already viral at this point.
For sure.
I'm glad the role players got out of their slumps. It was nice that Spencer was allowed to have a bad game where he didn't have to go Super Saiyan and hit 4 threes in a game again consecutively. And it's nice that the Mav Moneyball staffers can still go to the game and know they're not bad luck. So now tomorrow we'll see how tomorrow goes. But tomorrow is another day, Josh.
Yeah, tomorrow is tomorrow. We'll worry about that later. So, Brian, thanks for hopping on tonight. I think this is the first time we've podcasted together, so really appreciate it. Had a good time. We'll definitely get you on again because the schedule is long and difficult, and either me or Kirk will need breaks occasionally. So thanks again for hopping on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
So this is Josh Bowe, MavsMoneyball.com, signing off for Mavs Moneyball After Dark. Again, Mavericks defeat the Los Angeles Clippers in a wild back and forth game, 103-101. We will be talking to you tomorrow night, Wednesday night, after the game against Houston. Take care, everyone.